Razor friends, welcome back to the Banter show, and we are at Killowen, Killowen Yacht Club, down here in the beautiful county of Down on Carlingford Lough. And we're joined with the one, the only James McArevey. James,
good to see you, Tony.
And always a pleasure to see you, James.
Yeah.
James, we're down here today now. You invited us down.
Yeah.
94 people died, friends, out in the lough here, out in Carlingford Lough. 100 years ago, James.
100 years ago on the 3rd of November, Tony. That'll be the centenary. And it's the single worst tragedy to have been visited on our community here.
Unbelievable.
There was 95 people on the two ships that night, the Connemara and Retriever. 94 died, and believe it or not, Tony, unbelievably, the sole survivor, James Boyle from Warrenpoint, was a non-swimmer.
My God of Almighty. That's incredible.
Yeah.
How the hell did he survive away in that lough, James?
Well, he got washed in on an upturned lifeboat.
Unreal.
And he worked for what was then Newry Urban Council as a caretaker in Warrenpoint Town Hall, and he passed away in 1967. He was 21 years of age when the tragedy occurred in 1916.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. And it's hard to think that 94 people passed away when two ships collided out in the lough there. It really is unbelievable. It's a heavy loss, isn't it, James?
Well, again, it's all part, Tony, of the rich maritime history that we have in Newry, and indeed in Newry and Mourne. And as you say, when you look at the tranquility of the lough today, but on that night, on Friday the 3rd of November 1916, the worst storm, described by locals as the worst storm in 70 years, was raging. There were southwesterly gale force winds blowing against a strong ebb tide going out, and the Newry coalboat Retriever was battling her way across from Garston. It had left that morning, on the Friday morning, at 4:25 in the morning, and 16 hours later, at 8:15 that night, they arrived at the Hunter Buoy at the mouth of the lough after 16 hours.
My goodness.
The captain was intent on getting into the safety of the lough, and the outward bound Connemara, a passenger and livestock ferry running from Greenore to Holyhead, was making her way out. She was logged passing the Hallbeline Lighthouse at 8:28, and minutes later both of them collided in the cut in the narrow channel leading out to the open sea. And the result was that within 15 minutes both ships had sunk, and 94 of the 95 people drowned. 8 off the Retriever, 1 survivor, James Boyle, and the other 86 drowned on the Connemara.
Unbelievable. It really is a shocker. But it's great to see like an anniversary today for them, and we've got the Camelot Brass Band here.
The Camelot Brass Band, Tony, are great supporters of our events. They come regularly wherever we are. And today, Tony, the 11th of June, is the launch of the Centennial Project to mark this awful tragedy with the collision of the Connemara and Retriever. We're starting a programme of events that will run from Kilkeel to Derry Oak to Cranfield, Greencastle, Rostrevor, Warrenpoint. Newry will not take place in November, but we'll be out in Dramillion, South Armagh and Carlingford over here. So we have a whole series of events between now and the centenary. And the centenary on the 3rd of November in Newry is going to be very special, Tony, because members of Newry Sub-Aqua Club,
right,
on the 6th of March this year, Sunday the 6th of March, they salvaged a stern plate from the Retriever.
Wow.
And brought it up over the water for the first time in 100 years. And,
great work, lads.
And on Wednesday, the 8th of June, a couple of days ago, they were diving all day for us again, and they salvaged 2 bollards that the ropes get tied round, and they brought them to the surface, and along with the Cunningham brothers from Greencastle, brought them ashore, and were indebted to the voluntary group Newry Sub-Aqua Club. And this is
our Newry Sub-Aqua Club.
This is, Tony, like yourself, been part of this with the Banter show. This is a true community effort.
It is indeed, James.
It's about a network of community groups coming together to remember, as I say, the worst tragedy that struck this area since the days of the famine.
It's incredible, James, isn't it? And as you say, the long maritime history that Newry has, with indeed the rest of the world, you know.
Well, the sad thing about it is, Tony, and one of our aims with this project is to inform and to educate people of the maritime history that we have in Newry. Because sadly today it has almost been airbrushed, and you're bound to be aware of that yourself.
Of course, James, of course. I mean, I remember where the quays was.
Yeah.
I remember the docks actually there.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a working docks.
That's right. Well, it closed in 1974.
Yeah.
But I mean, you need to have a profile of at least 45, 48 years of age to have any remembrance of the port working at all.
Yeah.
But fortunately, over the last 5 or 6 years, we, through our events and what we're doing, we're beginning to establish a maritime footprint across Newry. From River Street, the plaques there on the gable wall,
indeed,
to various things along the quayside, and this tragedy will be marked. And sadly, officially, to the best of my knowledge, there's been nothing done about it.
Even by your own council?
No, not as far as I'm aware of today. There's no plans by the council to do anything.
Right.
But we'll do it.
Well, James, you're doing sterling work, and I have to say, you and everybody at the Newry Maritime Association, you're keeping it all alive. You're keeping our heritage alive.
Well, Tony, it's people like yourself, Brian Hayland, Kevin McAllister. We don't have money for advertising. We're a voluntary group, no mainstream funding, and it's people like yourself that give us oxygen.
That's it.
And thank you very much for that.
James, an absolute pleasure.
I mean, again, you're from a seafaring background yourself.
I am indeed.
The Smiths were all at sea and Chapel Street, one thing and another. And, you know, it's all part of your DNA too.
It is, and that's why I'm here, James.
Yeah.
And not only did you send us a kind invite to come down, that's another reason why we're here, but me and you will go back a bit, and it's always good for the Banter show this man a bit of support, and indeed the Maritime Association.
No bother, Tony. Thank you very, very much.
And James, thanks for talking to us, and indeed for educating us about today's event.
Thank you, and thanks to Mickey, and just have an enjoyable day, Tony.
We will, James. Thank you very much. And we're going to take a walk about.
Yeah.
And I believe there's a few artefacts.
We have a porthole from the Retriever salvaged by the Sub-Aqua Club. We have 2 scale models made by an ex-fisherman, Frank McGuinness from Kilkeel. And we have a couple of pop-ups telling the story, and you get all the details there, Tony.
Brilliant. James, will you join us for all our viewers? And come on, James. You know the catchphrase from me and James. Razor! Perfect. Thanks, buddy. Razor. We'll talk to you soon, James. So there you go, friends. That's the Banter show. We're down here, as I say, at Killowen Yacht Club here in Carlingford Lough. And we're going to take a walk around. We're going to get a look at some of the artefacts then. Friends, back soon. Razor.